Have you ever held back an idea, or kind of muted your own taste, or just changed how you act because you were worried about what other people might think? I mean, it's a feeling we all know, right? The philosopher Bertrand Russell called this one of the biggest thieves of our happiness. And in this explainer, we're going to see why and exactly how to fight back.
It's like this constant, low-level hum of anxiety, this feeling that you're on a stage and being judged by a crowd you can't even see. I'm here to tell you, this isn't just you. It's a huge part of being human, especially today in our super-connected world. Russell actually gave this a name. He called it the social trap. And it's a perfect description. It's like this psychological prison that we build for ourselves, where the bars are made of what we imagine other people are thinking about us. We basically volunteer to live inside a tyranny that doesn't even exist. So how do we break out? Well, here's our game plan. First, we're going to map out this invisible prison. Then we'll meet the inner guards, the thoughts that keep us locked in. After that, we'll forge the keys to get free, create a practical escape plan, and finally, we'll explore what it really feels like to live with that freedom. Okay, let's start by really understanding the prison itself. We're not talking about real walls or guards, of course. We're talking about the mental limits we put on ourselves. And Russell argued that this fear of what others think, it's not just uncomfortable, it's genuinely oppressive. It actively holds us back from our potential. You know, when you're constantly afraid of public opinion, you start editing your own life. You don't take risks, you don't share what you're truly passionate about, you don't speak your mind. Every single choice gets filtered through that one question: what will they think? And that's how you build those invisible walls around your authentic self, limiting what you do and ultimately how happy you can be.
Every prison has guards, right? Well, in this psychological prison, Russell points to two main culprits. These are two specific patterns of thinking that keep us locked down. So, let's go ahead and unmask them.
So the guards of our mental prison are these two really powerful thoughts. On one side, we have what Russell called persecution mania, and on the other, the fear of public opinion. Now, they might sound kind of similar, but they actually play very different roles in keeping us trapped. Let's break down how each one works.
Now, when Russell talks about persecution mania, he's not talking about some heavy clinical diagnosis. Not at all. He's talking about that everyday feeling that people are gossiping about you, that they're noticing all your mistakes, maybe even secretly hoping you fail. It's that little voice in your head that says, "Oh, they all saw me stumble," or "I bet they're all laughing at my idea." This fear, it comes from a very real place. It's wired into us, our evolutionary need to belong to the group to survive. But in our modern world, that impulse can go into total overdrive. It becomes a trap when we start sacrificing our own values and desires just to get a nod of approval from a group that, well, as we're about to see, probably isn't even paying attention to us anyway. You see how they work together? Persecution mania invents these imaginary threats, the gossip, the judgment. Then, the fear of public opinion makes us desperate to please those imaginary judges. It's a really powerful one-two punch that keeps us stuck. So, okay, we understand the prison, we understand the guards. How do we get out? This is where Russell gets super practical. He gives us a set of tools, 4 preventive maxims, that are basically the keys to our freedom.
Russell's solution is this set of powerful mental tools, these 4 maxims. And each one is like a dose of reality designed to dismantle our ego. I mean, look at the logic here. When we admit our own hidden self-interest, we get less defensive. When we accept our real limits, we avoid disappointment. But maybe the most freeing idea of them all is that last one. You are not that important to others. Now, that might sound a little harsh at first, but Russell saw it as the ultimate key to freedom, the freedom that comes from being ignored.
And here is the absolute crucial point. Everyone else is the main character in their own story, just like you are in yours. They're way too busy worrying about their own bills, their own relationships, their own problems. They just don't have the time or the energy to be focused on you. And once you truly realize that, the imaginary audience just dissolves. So the core practice here is to become a detective of your own thoughts. The next time that feeling of being judged pops up, challenge it. Ask yourself, what is the actual hard evidence for this story I'm telling myself? This is how you move from that vague, emotional fear to a clear, concrete look at reality.
All right, so let's take these ideas and put them to work. How do we actually use these keys in our day-to-day lives? We're going to look at 3 super common situations where this trap shows up and see how a simple shift in mindset can set you free.
So at work, right, the trap tells you stay quiet, don't look stupid. But a free mind, one that's grounded in these ideas, understands that the value is in the idea itself.
You separate your action, sharing the idea, from the outcome, which is how people react. You do your part. The rest is out of your control. Or in relationships, the trap makes everything about you. That's that persecution mania creeping in. A free mind remembers that other people have full, complicated lives of their own. It just defaults to a more generous assumption they're probably busy, and then it redirects that anxious energy back to your own life. Think about a personal goal, like going to the gym. The trapped mind sees it as some kind of social performance, worrying about what other people think. But the free mind sees it for what it is, an act of self-care. It remembers that no one is paying as much attention to you as you are to yourself, and that frees you up to focus on what actually matters, your own well-being.
So here is a really simple practice you can start using today. The moment you feel that social trap closing in, just run this 3-step reset. First, just notice the feeling. Acknowledge it's there. Second, question the story with facts. And third, and this is so key, shift your focus. Russell believed that being too self-absorbed was the sickness. The cure is to become genuinely interested in the world outside yourself.
So what's the whole point of this escape? What are we even aiming for? Well, it's to live a life that's guided by your own internal compass, not by the shifting winds of what other people might think. It's about building a character that's resilient, whether you're getting praise or criticism.
So let's quickly recap this path to freedom. It all starts when you recognize the trap for what it is. It's just a trick of the mind. You use Russell's maxims to keep yourself grounded in reality. You practice turning your attention outward. You start making choices based on your own values. And finally, you come to understand that a healthy indifference to irrelevant opinions isn't coldness. It's a deep source of strength and happiness.
And this quote really says it all, doesn't it? Real happiness isn't about getting everyone to like you. It's about building a life that is a true, authentic expression of who you actually are. A life that springs from your own deep impulses. And it is so crucial to remember, this isn't a switch you just flip once. Russell calls it a conquest for a reason. It's a daily practice of mental discipline. It's about catching yourself when you fall back into those old patterns and just gently, rationally, guiding yourself back to freedom, over and over again.
Ultimately, escaping the social trap isn't about becoming immune to other people. It's about choosing whose opinions actually matter. It's about building a life that's so in line with your own values that the noise from the crowd just kind of fades into the background. To continue this journey, be sure to check out our next explainer. You can find the full playlist in the description.